Hello and welcome in, everybody. I'm Andromeda Astria, and today we're going to be learning about the Myers-Briggs functions, also known as the Young cognitive functions. The easiest way to break down the functions is into the perceiving and judging functions. This is because perceiving functions are the way in which you gather information from the world, and judging functions are the way in which you process that information you've gathered from the world. Now, in the perceiving functions, we have the introverted and extroverted intuition, NI and NE, and introverted and extroverted sensing, SI and SE. And in the judging functions, we have introverted and extroverted feeling, FI and FE, as well as introverted and extroverted thinking, TI and TE. Well, let's get into what each of the functions means. This is where you may want to have a piece of paper and a pencil or some way to note down which things you think you probably use versus which things you don't use. Now, a little bit before we get started on the functions. Each of you uses 4 functions: 1 sensing, 1 intuition, 1 feeling, and 1 thinking. And you each use 2 extroverted and 2 introverted functions. There's a specific order we will go over afterwards, but for now, what I want you to do is note down which sensing, which intuition, which judging, and which feeling function seems to resonate most with you, which one you seem to use most or makes most sense to you and you understand best, as well as note down if one of these slides, everything on it seems like you use it, because that will be important later on as well. So we are going to start off with sensing. Remember, this is a perceiving function, which means this is an information gathering function. Introverted sensing really relies on past knowledge. It relies on what you already know, the things that you've experienced, and trusting those experiences and trusting that what has happened before will happen again. It is extremely detail-oriented. It is paying attention to the little things, which is going to be contrary to some further down the line that we're going to look at. So if you're a very detail-oriented person, then you are very likely using introverted sensing. It also likes familiarity. It likes knowing what's going to happen next. It likes watching a movie it's familiar with because it knows what the plot's like and it knows how it's going to feel because of it. It likes anything that it knows how it will turn out. That's really the core and essence of introverted sensing. It is a consistency. It is a knowing how things are going to be. It's a the past is the past, and that is going to be how the future will be. Now, extroverted sensing is a little bit of the opposite. Extroverted sensing is all about the 5 senses. It's about novel experiences. It's about how you can feel and touch and taste and hear things. It is very, very rooted in the present moment, and right now is super, super important to extroverted sensors. Next, we have intuition, which is very much about abstractions and possibilities, as opposed to sensing, which was very much grounded in the reality and things that you can touch. Introverted intuition very much likes the big picture, so it is the opposite of introverted sensing in that regard, which is why you cannot have both of them. You can only have introverted intuition or introverted sensing. So introverted intuition loves the big picture. It loves seeing how patterns will play out. It loves playing with patterns and figuring out how things are going to be. It is the most future-oriented of all the different types. It loves gathering all this information to be able to make those predictions. It uses those pattern recognition skills to gather the information and bring information down to a single point and prediction. On the other hand, we have extroverted intuition, which loves multiple possibilities. These are the people who don't choose one path. They're going to need to try everything. When they have one idea, it sparks a ton of other ideas. They're really about the rational understanding of things, so they love using thought and logic to sift through and understand things that they are seeing with these multiple possibilities. They also like to use it to read between the lines. So these are the people who are not looking at what things are at face value. They want to know what's behind it, what's really going on there. And that is at the core of what all of intuition is about. They are not looking at what they can just see. They're looking beyond it. They're looking for something a little bit more. Next, we move into the judging functions, feeling and thinking. Remember, going forward, you can only have 1 feeling and 1 thinking, and you need to have one of them be introverted and one of them be extroverted. So here we have introverted feeling. Introverted feeling is all about what feels inside. So they really care about authenticity. They really are driven by their values. They're driven by how things make them feel. It is a very easy thing for them to make choices based on how something makes them feel or how it resonates with their core values and their feeling of their own authentic self. Now, extroverted feeling is kind of the opposite. They really care about the group's feelings. It's very easy for them to set their own feelings aside and do what is best for the group. They love paying attention to and fitting in with social norms. They love connections with other people. All of it is really important for them to be part of a group and understanding how to best fit into that group. Last but not least, we have our thinking functions. That is introverted thinking and extroverted thinking. Now, introverted thinking is really about internal logic. So for them, they have this way of understanding information that they get that makes sense to them, and everything needs to make sense through that system. So they are not the people who, if a bunch of experts say something is true, they're just going to take them at their word. They're going to need to actually think that one through for themselves and see if it actually makes sense that that is true. They love learning just for the sake of learning. They want to gather as much information as they possibly can, and they love the feeling of learning something. They are also the true critical thinkers. These are the people who, if you have a rational argument with them and prove that you are right, they have no problem saying you're right. It will not hurt their ego. They are totally fine being wrong because at their core, introverted thinkers are seeking the truth, regardless of what their previous experience and opinion may have been. Finally, we have extroverted thinking. They make use of external systems. So these are the people that if 9 out of 10 dentists recommend a specific toothpaste, they are A-okay with that. They're going to go get that toothpaste because the experts say it's good. And why would they waste their time doing their research themselves if people they know are experts have already done the research and figured it out for them? This goes down to their love of efficiency and wanting to get as much done as possible. And in with that, they learn if they need to. Any learning they do is going to be to a specific end or a specific goal. They will absolutely go get an advanced degree if they need it in order to do whatever career they want to do. They'll go learn guitar so that they can play at their sibling's wedding. They want to have a reason for the learning as opposed to the introverted thinkers learning just for the sake of learning. Now that you've gone through and you're pretty sure you know which functions you have, let's go ahead and double check that you have the correct types together. So first off, we know that introverted intuition and extroverted sensing are paired together because we did talk a little bit about how introverted intuition and introverted sensing don't play well together. So if you have introverted intuition or extroverted sensing, you do have the other one. The same with introverted sensing and extroverted intuition. If you know that you have one of those two, then you are guaranteed to have the other one as well. So let's make sure you have your perceiving chart correct and have only one of those two pairs. Now, over on the judging side, we realized that introverted feeling and extroverted feeling don't really work together because you can either be more focused on your feelings or more focused on other people's, and you can't really be focused on both. You can be focused on both, but you can't be more focused on both. And the same with introverted thinking and extroverted thinking. You can't both learn to learn and learn for a reason only. They just don't quite pair together. So here our pairs are introverted feeling and extroverted thinking in either order, and introverted thinking and extroverted feeling in any order. How do they go together? Now we have a good sense of which pairs we have, but how do we go from that to the 4-letter Myers-Briggs codes? So we have an order. It goes perceiving, judging, judging, perceiving, or judging, perceiving, perceiving, judging. You also have an introversion, extroversion switch. So introverted, extroverted, extroverted, or extroverted, introverted, extroverted, introverted. Now we're going to use those orders to figure out what order your specific functions are in, which will then tell you which Myers-Briggs type you have. Now, hopefully, going through this, there was one function that really stood out to you as something that you're really, really sure you have, and you can be pretty clear on that being your dominant function. If that is not the case, you're probably going to have to do a little bit more research, watch a few more videos, and figure it out. There's a couple of ways you can do this by either figuring out what your least used one is, which is your inferior function, or your dominant function, or doing a massive deep dive into functions and figuring out a little bit more about each of them. But for the sake of this video, staying kind of short, we're going to go ahead and use an ISFJ as an example, and we're going to say this ISFJ went through and was totally positive that introverted sensing was their dominant function. They can then go ahead and put in the first place introverted sensing and in the last place extroverted intuition. Whether or not they were clear on the intuition part, because they are sure that they have introverted sensing, they know that they have extroverted intuition. Now, secondarily, maybe they weren't super clear on feeling, but they were really, really sure that they have introverted thinking. Now, you can't look at our chart. You cannot have two introverted functions next to each other, which means their introverted thinking becomes their third function, and they know that extroverted feeling is their second function. So this really is about patterns, and I know if we are not using a lot of intuition or specifically introverted intuition, this might be a little bit more difficult to figure out, but everyone's got a function that'll help them figure this out, and it really just takes practice. So all you have to do is figure out how to put your specific functions into order, and I will have a chart below this video that will tell you what type you are once you do have your order of functions. That is all I have for you guys today. That is the very basics of Myers-Briggs functions. There's, of course, a lot more depth we can go into with it, but for the lucky few of you who did figure it out from there, congratulations on having your type. And for the rest of you, we will get into more depth on this next time. And in the meantime, you are welcome to put any questions that you have under this video or hop on over to the Discord and ask questions in the section for Myers-Briggs questions and typing help. Or you are, of course, welcome to come stop by a live stream anytime you'd like and ask questions then. Happy typing, everybody. I will see you next time.